In this video, we're quickly discussing the differences between the latest Intel i7-1260P and Ryzen 7 6800U. Now, we're focusing specifically on creative professionals for this video, so if that's you, you're in the right place, whether you're a photographer, video editor, artist, or designer. Now, first and foremost, let's jump into the simulated benchmarks to see where these stack up from that situation. Then we'll dive into my favorite test, or the actual real-world test, where we see which CPU responds better while actually doing creator tasks and using creator apps. Now, first and foremost, as we look at Geekbench single core and Geekbench multi-core, you can see that in single core, the i7 processors appear to perform slightly better. And then as you move into multi-core performance, you can see that we still have slightly better performance of multi-core for Geekbench. As we move into Cincebench, again, we're having better performance for the single core performance. And then in multi-core, however, we see a slight switch where the multi-core performance is slightly better out of Ryzen than it is Intel. But again, the simulated benchmarks don't really tell me all that much. So let's just get into the real world stuff. But I always include those for those that want to see them. First and foremost, inside of Photoshop, this is the Puget Systems Photoshop benchmark. And as you can see, we have the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360 with the i7-1260P scoring an 803. And then we have the Lenovo Yoga 9i Gen 7 scoring a 641. So that tells me that depending on the model of computer that the processor is put into, you may have slightly differing results. Right away, we see the Samsung really puts that CPU to top performance compared to the Yoga 9i, which still gets good performance out of the CPU, but not as good as the Samsung. Then we have the Ryzen 7 6800U inside of the Zenbook S13 OLED getting a 662. So if you're deciding between the two CPUs, I would recommend getting the i7 inside of the Samsung if you're a designer, photographer, or artist. Now, what about inside of Premiere Pro? What about the playback, the drop frames? So basically, as you're editing inside a project, how many skippy drop frames will you be experiencing using any of these laptops? Now, for the Ryzen CPU, this Ryzen 7 6800U inside of the Zenbook S13 OLED, we're going to see at fourth quality playback, that's when you change the quality of the playback program monitor to fourth quality, you're going to have about 19 drop frames. Really good, not even going to notice. As you go to half quality, we pick up to about 158. And then as you go to full quality, we're at about 515. Now, taking a look at the Yoga 9i, we're seeing quite similar results. At fourth quality, we're seeing 18 drop frames. At half, we're seeing 51. And at full quality, we're seeing 358. Now, the best performing laptop is going to again be the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 Pro 360 at 0 drop frames for fourth, 0 drop frames for half, and then 239 drop frames for full quality. But what about export times? How fast are these computers exporting that 4K footage? A 9-minute 4K clip out of Premiere Pro to full quality 4K settings. The Ryzen 7 6800U takes the bottom of the chart at about 6 minutes and 37 seconds, followed by the 5-minute 47-second export time from the Yoga 9i, and then the Samsung Galaxy Book 2 at 437. So punch for punch, out of the basic tests that we've run, the Galaxy Book is going to be the best bet for performance. However, when we shift over to battery life, we're seeing that you can get the most battery life out of the Ryzen CPU. Now, the Intel i7-1260Ps still get good battery life, but not as good as the Ryzen CPU. You can see those results coming up on the screen. So if you care about raw performance most, I would go with the Intel. If you want a little bit of edge on that on-the-go life, I would go with the Ryzen CPU. I hope this helped with your buying decision. There's links in the description below of each of these laptops if you're ready to make a purchase. Drop some likes if this video has brought you some value, and don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss out on future episodes just like this. I'll see you here in the next one.